Good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So, all of you know Ed and Alicia Boateng. They are actually long-term staples in our office here in Coral Springs. You joined us back in 2017.
That's correct.
And since then have done very well. You guys are consistent cappers every year.
Yes, we are.
You're involved in the board.
Yes, we are.
You're involved in everything. And she has one of the best laughs there is. So let's start. Want to know a little bit about your background. Tell me your story. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? When did you move to this area?
Originally, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Moved to Florida at 14, went to Boyd-Anderson High School. Graduated there, then went on to the University of Florida. And then from there, got my degree in operations management, and then also got my secondary degree in history, because initially I wanted to become an attorney, but I didn't think I'd be too good of one.
With a degree in history, most people become teachers.
Yes, or economics, and then move into the law field. So from that point, I actually got my internship with Tower Hill Insurance Group as a residential underwriter coordinator. And that's kind of where my story began, with getting into houses and commercial and things of that nature.
Interesting.
I was born and raised in Miami, Cuban. I was raised on arroz con frijoles, black beans and rice. And so I was a wedding and event planner for over 20 years. And I too started in insurance when I was very young, when I was in high school. I actually did work experience with insurance. And then I decided that I was going to be my own boss. Mm-hmm. So I opened up my wedding and event planning firm. I started when I was 18. When I was 21, I made it official. And I did that for over 20 years. I worked in the hospitality industry for almost 10 years. And then I met Ed.
So tell me how you two met?
We met at the beach, which I never go to the beach.
No, when you're born and raised down here.
Yes, exactly.
I never go to the beach. However, that day, I didn't have the kids, and my friend invited me to brunch, and then she canceled on me on the last minute, and I'm like, okay, I'm not staying home. I'm going to go to the beach and just make the best of it. And so I got there, and he got there for a gathering with his friends.
Friend's birthday.
We saw each other, and I'm like, I do. Don't even tell me your name. I do.
The hot young guy on the beach, playing volleyball.
Yes.
No, actually a birthday party, just hanging out. I actually wasn't going to be able to make it. One of my fraternity brothers, he was running for office, and we had a meeting that was scheduled. It got canceled, so I called him and said, hey, you know what, I will be on my way there. So, intervention.
Yes, life is interesting, how things work out.
Yes. And within a month of us meeting, we formed Boateng Enterprises. I told him, I said, we're going to form a corporation. I don't know what's going to happen between us, but we're going to form a corporation, and we're going to let God take over. And here we are today.
So she seems to be the one driving the business.
Yes, he's
So where did you get this entrepreneurship from?
From my grandmother. Nobody in my family is a business owner, but my grandmother was very driven, and she was very impactful, and I admire her for her strength, because she came from Cuba by herself with my mom at 9 years old, not knowing the language, not knowing the familiarities of the state. And she went to go live in New England to work in a factory to bring her entire family from Cuba. So that drive and determination.
So from Cuba, instead of coming in basing out of Miami, as most of the Cubans did.
Correct.
And I assume that was probably 59, that time frame?
Yes, it was right before, or right when it was either right before or right when Castro took over, and they decided, no, we need to leave right away.
And so they ended up going to New England.
They went to New England, they lived
Different.
in Massachusetts for several years, and then they would vacation down here. You know, they finally
Visit friends
rounded
and
up
family.
enough money
Yes.
to buy a car. It was a family of, I think it was like 12 of them at that point. They bought a car, and then they would travel from New England to Miami for vacation. And then my uncle decided one year, okay, we're staying here. And the rest is history.
Fascinating. And so your background, you said you went to college for operations, and
Operations
which is
management, correct. So just to elaborate a little bit on that, Tower Hill Insurance Group was my first position after getting my internship and graduating. Then from there, I was hired with Nationwide. So actually in the commercial division. So I became a commercial underwriter. I was there for about maybe 2.5, 3 years, and then I got promoted to a senior underwriter. And then many of you know 9/11 happened. Nationwide pulled out of the state of Florida, and I was trying to move back down to South Florida at that point in time. And it wasn't available. It was there, and then it got snatched away. So my director and my VP actually had some good ties and connections with Assurant Group, which used to be American Bankers in Cutler Bay. I guess it's called Cutler Bay, now Cutler Ridge area down in South Miami. So I became an adjuster. And the VP there explained to me in order to move up that ladder, I was going to have to get a couple of different designations in order to move up. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely do that. He says it normally takes about 2 years to get the designation, so I was able to do it in a year. At that point, you know, you're fresh out of college, you remember everything. Now I got to read it 4 or 5 times, and then I get that.
You got to put your readers on that.
Exactly. So I had the opportunity to be a total loss fire adjuster for some time. Also did in-house adjusting, all on the property and casualty side, no auto at that point in time. And then from there, I was actually recruited by Aon Risk Services as a global claims consultant. They liked my achievements as far as being able to win about 93% of everything we had to go through subrogation with as payouts were being done. So I guess Aon caught on to that and wanted to have me as that, because I was able to read the policies and find coverage. My job was to find coverage. So it kind of segues into some of the things we'll touch on a little bit later. As a global consultant, everyone had to sign the agreement that I was going to be working with the account manager in order to help find coverage. You know, we wrote on Hartford paper, Travelers, AIG, you know, really big companies. So I did that for some time, and then I, you know, had a tragedy at that point in time, which then it became just my son and I moved back down to Broward. Up to Broward, excuse me. Yes, I'm always thinking the opposite way.
We all make
I
that
moved
mistake.
back up to Broward, and then I worked with Aon on a, how would be the best way to say it? A time-to-time type basis, in the sense of whenever things hit the fan, then they called me, which was pretty much a lot.
Yeah, hurricane season.
Correct.
Yeah,
So I
regular.
did that for a while, and then at that point, I started working for People's Trust as a senior underwriter. And that's when I got my license, because I had always wanted to get into the real estate world, but I figured I was close enough to it without being in it. And then at that point, I'm like, no. I spoke with one of my good friends, Julio Guzman, and he said, no, Ed, I think you should try it. You know, you're good at negotiating, those type of things. So I was like, all right. So I gave it a try, and I liked it.
What year was that?
That was in Kingston is 8, so that would have been in 2015, 2016, yeah. And at that point in time, I was doing it part-time. Wasn't a good idea to do it part-time. Unfortunately, we had miscarriage, no, stillbirth at that point, excuse me. And at that point, after that, we both said to each other, you know what, we're just going to take that leap of faith and just go full-time with real estate. So,
Was Alicia licensed in real estate at that time, or
No.
you came into the business second?
well, we came in together in the sense of I had gotten my license, and she was going to actually work as being my admin, and we always just continuously worked together.
And then I end up being his CEO.
Yes.
I was going to say, I can't imagine you being an admin for anybody.
So, and of course, that's just a title which to us, we work in concert with a lot of what we do. But, you know, given the rules and regulations, we need to make sure that we stay clear and cut in what it is that we do. So that's why that's always put first and foremost. And then from there, we started with
Julio, which was
Essential Realty.
Essential Realty, and he was actually in Homestead.
Correct.
And we were up here. So what happened, originally we wanted to come to Keller Williams, but he, enticed us to, come here, I'll give you an opportunity. Okay, fine. We went there, and every time we'd give our business cards, they'd look and say, oh, but you're in Homestead? So we'd have to spend like 30 seconds explaining to them, we're not in Homestead, blah, blah, blah. And after like the 25th time, I'm like, I'm done with this. We need to make the change. So then we actually went to Keller Williams in Plantation. And we were probably there for 3 months, maybe?
About 3-4 months.
And then we said, no, we need to go where we originally wanted to go, which was here. And I said, we need to make that change immediately.
Scott?
I'm sure what.
Okay.
Continue.
Well,
we've been
we're
here
happy that you
ever
made that
since.
change.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
we
was a
definitely need to change.
no-brainer at that point. It was a no-brainer. When we started with the office, we were welcomed in a beautiful way. And it's been our family ever since. It will continue to be our family. We love it here. I cannot tell you how appreciative we are of you. As you know, every time, we try not to call you too often, but when we do, it's always Edit Alicia.
Yes. Yes. You're always going to get 2 for 1.
Yes, we always tell our clients that they're always going to get 2 for 1.
Yep. Well, personally, if you ever want a real experience, you'll talk to me while I'm driving, and Gail is sitting next to me.
There you
Because
go.
invariably, she'll run the conversation. And we'll give you the best advice there is. So, yes, husband and wife teams working together are awesome.
Yes.
Which is an interesting question, because many years ago, we actually used to do seminars called Spouses Selling Houses.
Oh, that is so cool.
Which was a great tagline that somebody else had come up with a long time ago. And there are a lot of realtors that husband and wife teams working together, and it's a challenge because not only are you at home all the time, but you're working together all the time.
Yes.
And when you're having family dinners, you're talking real estate, and when you're at Thanksgiving, the whole family gets to talk real estate.
That's correct.
How do you bring sanity to your life working together like that?
Well, at the beginning, when we first started, yes, it was definitely real estate 24/7 until we just decided that, okay, we need to put a boundary and we need to put an alarm to stop working at certain times.
Yes.
And, there are times past that time where we do find each other speaking about real estate and we quickly snap out of it because otherwise you'll never have the true work-life balance.
So what do you do to snap out of real estate?
We'll start watching something on Netflix, or he'll start talking about football,
Yeah,
which he
there's
loves.
football. There's a
Let me
magazine.
say, he likes football?
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
No. Yeah. Which is a question, because I'm sitting here staring at it. So before we really get into real estate, tell me about the ring you're wearing.
This ring.
That's hard to ignore.
Yes, this ring was my son Caleb's first national championship ring when they played Ohio State. We were in
New Orleans.
No, it was actually in Phoenix.
The Fiesta Bowl? That's the
Phoenix.
Fiesta?
This was
Okay.
in Phoenix, remember? When
Yes,
they played Ohio
Scottsdale,
State?
yes.
Scottsdale. So this was in Phoenix, Arizona. And, you know, after they won, he sent me a quick text saying, you know, hey, Bobby, we did it. Finally, I didn't get it when I was younger, but we finally got it now, so we did it. So, you know, I told him that, you know, it's good, we're all proud of him, and just, you know, just keep achieving to the best of your abilities. Some days you're gonna want to some days you're gonna want to do it, and some days you're not. But you have to be disciplined and consistent. So the discipline and the consistency is what's going to continue to just drive your outcomes.
And that applies to so many things.
Which I was just going to say, that was advice you gave to your son for playing football.
Yeah, to all the kids.
But it sounds like that's what drives you. That advice is what keeps the two of you moving forward.
Yes, I believe in team. Team is, you know, they always say there's no I in team, but there's an I in win. But you don't win unless you have the team. You don't win unless you have the group of partners that you partner with to help your clients get from contract to close. Those are very important steps that must be adhered to so that your client, and anyone you're dealing with for that matter, has the experience that they're looking for and the experience that we want to be able to deliver. So that is our brand. I always tell her she's the branding guru, and much of what it is on how we conduct our business day to day.
And how you show up every day makes a difference too.
My entire life, I have always believed that winning is 80% just showing up. The rest of it is focusing and doing what has to be done every day. And unfortunately, most people don't show up on a regular basis.
That's why I thanked
So,
everyone
and,
for being here, because they're making a difference.
Correct.
They're
the people
that
that show up
1%.
for the education are the
Absolutely.
ones that are going to succeed long term. So tell me, when you first started in real estate for the first couple of years, how did you start in the business? How did you develop your leads? Any marketing, advertising, promotions? And how did you get to the point where you are?
Yeah.
We listened to what everyone was telling us. Everyone. So, you know, we had the being whatever it was called in at Plantation, where the different vendors come, BNIs. You know, we started contacting all of our friends. That's when we started realizing that the amount of people that we knew did so many different variations of jobs and things of that nature. So it was just trying to talk to everyone. We did try the FISBOs. I'll let you go on.
We did.
that
We
one.
spent a lot of money on unfortunately buying leads, and that did not work out. We just, you know, since we both come from corporate backgrounds, we each had our own group of individuals that we knew in our own sphere, and we just combined that. And again, knowing that we come from corporate background, they already knew that we were a respectable individual. So now imagine as a power couple. And so what happened was that we just started working our sphere, and the way that we branded ourselves really made a difference. You know, when we were with Essential Realty, we were known as Team Boateng,
From the beginning.
part of,
Right.
you know, and when we moved to Keller Williams, we're Team Boateng, part of Keller Williams. But before you learn about Keller Williams, you're going to learn about Team Boateng. And we're going to focus on that. And then, once you get to know us, then you'll know that we're part of Keller Williams. And again, it's not, we love Keller Williams. We love, obviously.
The values align,
It's-
and people kind of come into alignment with what values fit, right? So we knew that Keller Williams, we did our homework. We knew Keller Williams was very good in education.
Yes.
And if you don't have education, you're not really going to go far. So we wanted to make sure that we were partnered with that. We also wanted to make sure, because we really didn't know, as far as from an association standpoint, we were new. We asked, you know, what associations are actually giving the best tutelage as well as help to agents. That's how we became part of the Miami Board of Realtors. So again, we just continue to align ourselves with those who have the values of trying to make sure that they are first and foremost helping their clients, being very transparent, and being very consistent. And all of those three things that I talk about is exactly what Keller Williams does. That's what we do, and that's what the Miami Board of Realtors has done for us. And that's the reason why we're still with them today.
Yeah.
Okay. When very early on in my business in starting to work with Gail, and I started as her assistant as well. She had already been in the business 8 years before.
Okay.
One of the early on things we did in growing a team was we developed an org chart. And it was like, CEO, and that was the two of us together, and we go, okay, you've got a director of advertising and a director of finance and a director of sales and a director, just like you would in any corporate structure that you were both from. And then it was like, okay, who do you plug into each of those positions? And we had very distinct areas that we worked in. For example, I did the marketing and advertising. She had input on it, tell me what to do, but but ultimately it was my final decision how to run that. So tell me about how you're working together. What's the division of labor between the two of you that you focus on in order to drive your business even further?
I handle all of all the paperwork, all of the emails, all of that stuff. I handle all of the marketing and so forth. Ed is the king of negotiating.
I call everyone. I call all my friends. As I said, we know a lot of people in a lot of different areas, and we're fortunate enough now to where a lot of the business that we are getting is more referral based from our spheres, and we just continue to dig in that same hole. We're digging more now because it's taking a lot longer. Some people actually, when we met them, they were just starting a family, and now their kids are older, they need a bigger house. Now their kids are graduating, now they need a smaller house. So with that one person, we're seeing them 3 times.
Right.
But
we also.
So how are you staying in touch with those people? Because your sphere is really where your future comes from.
We're very intentional.
So what are you doing intentionally?
You're gonna laugh at it. Sometimes I start with the beginning of the alphabet of my phone, and then on the next week I'll start on the back end of it, and then another week I'll start in the middle. Eventually, by the time that month, because it does take a while. As much as I'd like to have a quick 2-minute conversation, because a lot of times they're your friends, so you don't get to just, okay, good, I gotta go. Yeah, no. Hey, how are you doing? How's life doing? How's the family doing? What has changed? What's going on? How can we help you? Because a lot of times, hey, I need a plumber. I need this. I need that. Okay, bam, we're gonna get to that. And I stay very, what's the word I'm looking for? I stay very calculated in making sure that the questions that I have to ask them, I get answered. I try to give it 5 to 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes at that point in time. And after that 5 to 7 minute call, I handle whatever it is that they were talking about. So if I need to make a call to someone, I'm gonna make that call and make sure I connect them together. Alicia does the same thing with her friends as well. Hey, this person was saying they need a roofer, and this is going on. Well, we find out that now we put a new roof on it, and now they're ready to sell the house. We just saw my frat brother who just came into town from Georgia, celebrating his wedding anniversary and her birthday at the same time. And the minute we got there, the first thing is, hey, how's things going? They start asking us, hey, how's the housing market? Our house is doing
It's
this.
so funny because I was in the kitchen with the wife.
And
he
I was over there?
sitting in the sofa. We were both literally having the same conversation.
Correct.
Because when we got in the car, he's like, oh, he was telling me about this. I'm like, wait, she was telling me about that too.
So the RPR will be sent to him today. It's on my list. I do have a list.
Absolutely, because
And
he's
once-
looking to sell.
He's
Yeah.
they're looking to sell because their family's looking to move back to Gainesville. And those are just opportunities that we have to continue to nurture and see them through. Because right now they're in a state of, we know we're moving, we just need to know how we're going to move. And that's where Alicia and I feel that we work best in concert.
So one
And
of
to
the
better
things,
answer your question, I'm sorry,
ahead.
Richard, but to finish answering your question, we bounce a lot of information back
for
and
sure.
forth.
Mm-hmm.
Before we make a final decision, he'll come and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, what do you think? Or I'll be like, hey, look, I'm gonna send this, what do you wanna add, and so forth. So that balances out a lot.
And then sometimes we call you. That's
Oh,
when you know
yes.
we're calling. Like, every
And
time
then
we
he
call
always, Richard, he always wants to call you on a Friday after 5 o'clock. I'm like, don't answer it, don't call him at that time.
So at that time, like, I only got about a couple more minutes, but he
doesn't
answers.
matter.
So I'm
Yes,
always
he
glad.
does, he
I-
He
does.
always responds.
hey, listen,
But I
no,
do
no,
what
ma-
he
no
says
matter
in the
where
video.
I am, this is with me, guys.
I know.
And if your name comes up, the phone gets answered.
And you do state it too. Please leave exactly what it is your question is. That also helps you be able to formulate exactly how you want to help us.
Correct.
So we have
Yes.
to learn to listen and listen to learn, right?
Again, my next question just went right out of my head, of
Sorry,
course.
I'm
Wha-
sorry.
One of the, I mean, it sounds like most of the we generation you're doing is actually picking up the phone and talking to people.
Yes.
But one of the things that I have always noticed about the two of you, no matter what, you're in the real estate office, you're wearing your name tags
That's correct.
all the time.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
And I'd be willing to bet people are asking you questions about real estate all the time.
All the
You
time.
go to the grocery store and they see your name tag, and the first question that people have on their mind today is, what's going on in the real estate
What's
market?
going on in real estate? Hey, are you renting or do you own your home right now? That is like, that just flows right out of my mouth. And a lot of times, oh no, I'm renting. Oh, when is your lease up?
It's like automatic.
That's,
And this is, sitting in BJ's, with the line, I have time. And now we have this dot thing that Alicia did where when they
The
scan it,
electronic, yeah.
it goes right to their phone. So now my information is there, our information is there, and at that point in time, I ask them for their information. I get their number, and I call that number right then and there.
Okay.
I need to make sure that it's a real number.
Yeah.
That's just me.
do you use a database that all your information is in? Are you using
Yes.
Command?
We do use
We are
Command.
using Command, but not to its fullest extent.
That's correct.
Okay.
Completely honest. We're not using it to what we know that we can, to its maximum capacity.
Yeah. The idea of layering information for your clients, sending out, Command can do automatic updates.
Yes.
Somebody lives in a house, they want to know what's going on with their market value, what's going on with their neighbors, to be able to schedule that type of thing. You can put reminders in there that you're going to call them on their birthday or their anniversary, or one of the things that we always did, presses the hell out of people, is you realize that you bought this house 3 years ago?
Yeah.
It is
And-
actually really good at doing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and for the first year or two, what we would do, we would actually send flowers to them on the anniversary of
That's nice.
buying the house. And it impresses the hell out of
Yes, it
people
does.
because
Absolutely.
no one does that
Yes,
type
it
of
does.
thing. You're doing it personally, which is amazing.
Well, for me, being a wedding and event planner, of course, I'm all about the details. So details for me are very important, and I'm very thorough, especially when I send out emails. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to work with you guys, and you'll get to see one of my emails. How they're very detailed, they're very informative, and so forth. And that's really how we handle our transactions. Very detailed, very thorough. So that we cross-check everything just to make sure. That.
At this stage of your career, are you considering developing and growing a larger team?
I knew that question was
Boateng
coming.
Enterprises
I
has to
knew
get
that
bigger.
question was coming.
There's a couple of things. We ventured down that avenue, and
Three times.
3 times, and I'll tell you that the KPI is very true.
It does not
It is
lie.
very true. We tried to buck the KPI 3 times, and it smacked us all 3 times. It smacked us all 3 times, and all we did was looked at each other. Well, you did it. No, you did it. You did it. No, KPI told us that this wasn't a fit, but we wanted to fit it, right? And 3 months down the line,
We're looking at each other
we're
like,
looking at each other like, man, you know. So to answer your question and going, we would like to do something like that. We strive to do something like that. You have to find the right fit with your work ethic and the values that you uphold and your brand, because it's all about it's the brand. I'm gonna say it again. She is the branding guru, and your brand says a lot about who you are, what you're going to provide. And if that person does not cross over that, you're just gonna have, you know, some difficulties. Not because they're not good. It's just they're just not in line with what it is that you look to do. I always need to call someone before I'm looking to text you. I'm gonna call. Sometimes people can't take the call, so when they call us, hey, listen, I can't talk right now, but I can text. Can I call you back in 25 minutes when I'm done? You have some new people that you tell them that, not necessarily new, but new to you. And unfortunately, you know, they're on their own timetable, and the timetable is the team's timetable. It's not your timetable. I always go back to team. We always go back to the team.
Yep.
So we would love to do it. We just have not found the right equation to make.
Yeah, to go back
E
to
equal
football
MC
for
squared,
you,
correct.
you can't have a team where the wide receivers running their own plays,
Correct.
and everybody else is
That's
doing
correct.
something different.
Correct.
Very important in developing a team, and it's actually KPA.
KPA, yeah, KPA.
KPA.
Let's say KPA.
K-
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I knew it was something. Yes, KPA. Yes.
yeah, and the KPA, just so that you know, not totally your fault. KPA is, they say it's like 60%. And you use
It was
you
110
use it as
for
a
us.
guideline, but the rest of it is understanding the person's motivation, their drive, their ethics. And as we say all the time, what's somebody's big why?
Yes.
You know, when someone doesn't have a big why, or their big why is different than yours, it probably won't work out.
Correct.
I just found that with the three that we did have, it was very difficult for them to remain consistent, and consistency is key.
Thank you.
So, you know, consistency is key. And if you don't remain consistent, if we're telling you to do something, it's because we've done it before and it's worked for us. So if we're telling you to do it a certain way, stop and think about that. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's, I don't want to ask a wrong question. Hopefully the answer is not no. Have you both read the Red Book?
Yes.
The MREA?
Yes.
A couple times.
Fabulous.
And when we took our KPA,
KPA.
when we took our KPA, we took it at two different times. I took it the minute that they gave it to me. I immediately, I was very thoughtful. I was like very making sure that, I crossed all my T's. Ed took it the night before we were supposed to meet with him. And he rushed through it. And when we got together and had the conversation with the team lead,
At Plantation at that time.
at Plantation, we were both 98% mega agents. So that says a lot.
Share with you, when Gil and I opened the first Keller Williams office, the predecessor to the KPA, and I don't remember what it was called, we took that test, and she was in one room, I was in another room, and we finished it, we went out to lunch with Nikki Ubaldini, and when we came back, she goes, "You guys weren't like sharing this stuff with each other, were you?" And I was like, "No, we were in different rooms." "Why?" She said, "Well, if you took your tests and put them together like this, that's what our answers were."
Yes.
So it's interesting
It's
how
the same
that
thing.
works out for you, and it's why you're the complete package, in driving your business the way you are. But don't stop trying to grow your business. Don't give up on it
No, we haven't
because it
given up
didn't
on
work the
We
first
haven't
3
given up on
times.
it. We know to listen
just-
to what it tells us, though. What it tells
Yeah.
us is we will definitely be listening.
Yeah. Read something very interesting this morning that's also striking me from what you're saying. This is one of the news feeds that I get. Successful salespeople listen more than they talk. And there was a study done, and it was something like the top 10% of salespeople speak 46% of the time, and the rest of the salespeople speak for something like 65% of the time, which in a 1-hour conversation adds up to like 15 minutes more. It's about listening more than it is speaking.
Well, I have to somewhat disagree because I do talk a lot.
But in talking, you're a high I personality.
I
We
am.
all know that. You're off the chart, and he's an off the chart D.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
ma'am. I'm a D all
Yeah.
day.
But you do, when somebody speaks, you're hearing what
Absolutely.
they're saying.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we go on our listing presentations, you know, we're not, of course, we come and we provide the facts, right? We come prepared. And at the same time, it's like we put our spin into it, you know? It's like I'll go off and start talking about the kitchen and all that stuff. He'll start talking about football and he'll equate it to the sale of the,
Or
of the
anything.
house.
Yeah, anything that's going on.
Right.
Definitely anything that's going on. In the listing presentations, the RPR is our best friend.
Yes.
We definitely do our homework with IMAP, and just kind of, you always say set the expectation, and that is very true. And that in setting that expectation, it is from contract to close. We let them know that, you know, there may be some hiccups. And in the event that they come, we'll address them as we move forward, but understand that we will have a plan to get us to help you achieve your goal, because that, at the end of the day, is the biggest thing that we want to do.
You're making your client feel very comfortable right up front.
Correct.
Absolutely.
They're aware of everything, and it's really not a surprise when it comes to you know, the elephant in the room, the buyer's broker's agreement. Coming from corporate, as I said before, you have to have those signed. When we first started, a lot of people used to tell us, "Oh, you don't need that. Well, you can't enforce that." But that's fine. In our business, when you have to speak with a loan officer, they make you sign in order for them to run your credit. You're going to sign in order for us to start helping you achieve your goal. It's all on how I'm delivering it to you.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because you are 2 of the few people that I know that have been using the buyer brokerage agreement
From the beginning.
Since our first
from
transaction.
the beginning.
Yes.
Yesterday at the team meeting, the entire team meeting was on the new EBBA that was just released on Tuesday. Tell me your experiences with it. What do you, I mean, you just explained why you were using it. That was just your background in corporate. What's your experience with using it?
For the most part, I'd say about a good, 90% of the people are fine with it.
It's all how you present
90% of the people are fine with it. You do have that 10% that you have to work a little bit more with, but it's all on how you bring it together. You need to make sure that you understand, you know, have they been pre-approved yet? If they haven't been pre-approved yet, that's your opportunity to let them know exactly how the process is going to work. You want to have a lender at that point in time there. You'll let them know what they're going to need, and then you let the lender do what they do best. And you explain that to them. Say, listen, you know, they're going to have you sign documents in order to run credit so that we can see how much buying power you have. You'll be signing our exclusive agreement because we're going to be helping you find a place. That basically is how we're going to be getting paid. And then you just put the paper right there. And
With
you
the
put the pen. And then, you know, a lot of times they look at it and will allow me to explain exactly what it is that we're going to be doing for you. And at that point, you just go through it. And then
Very
be,
confidently.
be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
That silence, let them sit in that silence. And they look at their wife, yeah, it's just right here. And then, you know, for us, we do let them know we do work with a transaction coordinator and what their fee is. It's not ours, it's theirs. It's all put out in front of them.
So that there's no surprises.
Correct. Once we get under contract, we hear it all the time. Oh, what's this fee? Oh, yes, that's right. I remember that one. See, that is the best thing to have happen, as opposed to, well, you didn't tell me about this.
Yes.
What's this?
You don't want to address it at the closing table.
Correct.
Exactly.
You want to
No,
address it
that's-
first meeting.
We've seen that happen in other places, and we looked at each other. Yeah, we're not doing that. You know, and you know, so that's the easiest way that I can say, as far as that agreement. It's you have to get comfortable with it. It's not new. It's just being reintroduced, and you just have to have that conversation with them. You have to do it up front.
Right,
it all
and
up
there's been
front.
times where we've presented scenarios. I mean, when you go buy a car, you have to go sign papers. You have to go sign an agreement. When you're listing your home, you have to sign an agreement. I never did any weddings without signing a contract. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's really how you present it and how comfortable and confident you are in having that conversation. And then once they sign it, just put it back in your folder and keep going.
One nugget I'll just add to that, and then I'll lay that down. You know, there'll be times where you get a prospective buyer. They don't really know you from Adam too much, and you're building that rapport. Always have them come to the office. Don't do it at home. Don't do it over the phone. I know some people have to go to Starbucks and all that. That's fine. Do it where you feel comfortable.
Or like
But
a
they
neutral
have
space.
a neutral space, but they have to be in where you have more control.
Yes.
To where you feel you have control, because it'll make it come out better for you. So, you know, we've had a few where we've gotten them, they haven't signed the agreement yet. So it's not like, oh, well, if you don't sign it, working with you. No. Okay, well, let's just go and look at, we'll get you set up. We always make sure that they pick 3 to 5 properties that they want to see. We also know most of the time if they're renting, we know when their lease agreement is up. So we understand from the back end how much time they got left. We have them rated from 1 to 10, 5 being average. 5 means it has everything that they want. So nothing should ever be a 4. Otherwise, we wouldn't be looking at it anyway. And they're the ones that pick. We don't pick for you. Because we don't want to go into a house and, oh, I don't like this. Okay, oh, well, you picked it. I didn't pick it. All right, so at that point, we'll have that 5. They haven't signed that agreement yet. Which house do you like the best? Oh, this house here. Okay, good. Which one would you give number 2? Oh, this house here. Okay, good. So we set up the appointments. And we're going to go and show them the second house they like the best first. Let them look at it. We go through and, you know, just sit there, give them exactly what's going on, how the HOA is, if it does, if it doesn't.
And then they're all excited
They're
and they want to go
excited.
and see that second
Yeah.
house.
And
And
they-
that's when Ed is like, bam.
And when they want to see the next house, it's like, no, you know what? Well, that's great. I'm glad that you did that. So, you know, this is part of the value that we're going to be giving you. This is why signing this agreement is important, not only to you, but to us. We need to know that you're going to stay loyal to us the way we're going to stay loyal to you.
And now you
And a
get,
lot of times they look, so can I cancel this at any time? Sure you can, but I need you to sign it today. And then I just stay quiet. We've had times where they say, okay, well, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to sign it right now. Okay, well, I understand. You know, thank you. So does that mean that we can't go through the other houses? That's correct. I'd love to show you those other houses, but you have to understand. You remember when you signed and we got you pre-approved? You had to sign in order for him to even run anything. We need to have this signed so that we can continue to do the job that needs to be done to help you get into your home. I know you got about 3 months. It's going to take at least 30 days And that's when we're under contract. I know you don't understand what that means yet, but we're gonna take time to look at, we're gonna have to find a house. We have 5 of them right here. So, and then we're ready to work.
It also sounds, from what you just said, you have no fear with letting somebody walk if
No.
they will not sign that.
No, because it gets real ugly the other way around.
You know,
It gets real ugly the other way around. Because we also do commercial as well. And commercial has always been that way. Commercial is worse.
but I can also understand the fear because when you're a new agent, you're so excited to just have somebody in front of you
Yeah, we were there.
that you're like, okay, fine, you're not gonna sign it, okay, fine. I can understand that fear. And at the same time, you're potentially wasting your time.
Would you ever go on a listing appointment and not have the paperwork signed and still go out and try and find buyers for their house?
No.
Absolutely
Of
not.
course not.
Absolutely not.
Of course not. This is, as I was explaining yesterday, that is a listing document for buyers.
Correct.
You have to have the same attitude with doing a listing presentation for your buyer as you do a listing presentation for your seller.
That's correct. A lot of times when we're helping someone sell a house, they're actually looking to buy a house at the same time. So a lot of times I'll start mixing things around. Alicia's like, hey, boom, no. Get this one done first, and then we'll do the buyer thing second. Because I do get excited at times, So I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. You don't got to kick me like that, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Ed, when Gail and I would go on listing appointments together, and we'd walk in, sit down at the kitchen table. If it was a glass top table, I'd go, yes, she can't kick me under the table. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
And we work, we don't only just, the farming area is great, and I know it's great for a lot of people, and I know it definitely works. Our farming area is Broward, Dade, Palm Beach County.
And Orlando.
In Orlando. We know a lot of people in those areas, and if we can't get there, we're able to refer that out. But also in referring that out, you got to make sure who you're referring it out to.
Absolutely.
Look them up. Let's kind of see what their production is. Because if you don't...
And their temperament.
And their temperaments. Because we've had some where we had to jump back in.
Yes.
And, keep it on the tracks. Because it was coming off the tracks fast.
Yeah.
And they call us. And we want them to. You know why? Because that's the brand that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we only got in contact with you guys because of Alicia and Ed. Outside of that, I don't know you guys. And they will blame us too, right? So what we don't want is to have the blame, but we have to accept that blame and fix it. We have to have a solution to their problem because we're there to help them achieve their goal. That's how we go into those type of scenarios when those happen. And they do happen from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any designations that you've gone for?
Yes, actually I have the ABR. I'll let her tell you the rest because I
He's
forget
got the
alphabet.
ABR, the at home with
Diversity.
diversity, and he'll soon have his SRS.
Yes, working on that this Monday, right?
Yes.
Monday and Tuesday coming up.
Are you doing those classes online, or are you actually going and taking
Actually,
them?
had them being done with the Miami Board of Realtors. Going to
In
our
person.
headquarters in person. It's better for me to be in person so I don't go to sleep.
I have to share this quick story. So in February, he did his ABR, and poor guy, he woke up and his stomach was like really hurting. Like it was just like an uncomfortable feeling that he didn't know, he'd never had before. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but you have to go to this class. It was all the way in Miami. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you have to go to this class. And so he would call me every time he had a break. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. Like my stomach is really hurting. And I'm like, well, you gotta push through, baby. You gotta push through.
Found out I had diverticulitis.
He had diverticulitis. He called me on his way home, and he's like, when I get home, I think we have to go to the urgent care. I'm like, no, we're going to the emergency, but just get through the class.
Yeah, it was,
And he did.
painful,
He
man.
did.
Oh, it
He
was
did.
painful.
And he was in the hospital for 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
But you got that
Yeah,
designation.
you got
did.
it. You got it. You got it.
He did. He did.
All right, let's wrap up with just one last question. This is primarily for you, Ed. You serve as a director for the Miami board.
Yes, one of the leaders, correct.
Tell me about, from inside,
Yes.
what do you see, what are you hearing, what is the board doing about all of these changes, about the NAR settlement and everything that that's bringing to us?
Well, first and foremost, the Miami Board of Realtors, they have been on the front, and forward thinking is the hashtag that we always have. Legal got everyone involved. They continue to keep us updated with what's happening in there. The ABR designations, they made them free, so that everyone understood that the buyer-broker agreement was always there, but for those who didn't know or weren't ready to do it, we're here to help you take your business to the next level while you're learning to do what you have not been doing in some time, given what has happened with the settlement. So that's, I would say, one of the biggest takeaways that the Miami Board of Realtors has been doing for their agents. Agent-based, it is agent-based all day long. They want to make sure that we have an opportunity to continue to grow our businesses, because we know that the business is there for our children. As you say, legacy, you want to be able to leave lots of things for your kids, and that is one of the biggest whys that what people have. So we want to make sure that we continue to tap into that.
Here's,
I hope I answered that question.
you did. The Miami board, and my primary board is the Beaches. I'm a member of both of them. So we've got two of the largest boards in the entire country right here in South Florida that are really leading the way in helping agents understand what their value proposition is. Because that's the biggest problem, is that a lot of agents don't understand what the true value that they bring to the customers.
Correct.
And one of, we were sharing that yesterday. One of my problems with the new EBBA is it reads customer, 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 consumer. And I'm going, not a consumer, they're your client. If they're signing that document, they become your client. And there's a big difference between that.
Okay.
If there's somebody at the board that you can give that feedback to, because I know they'll be doing many revisions,
Yes.
that's one of them.
Yes,
and
we
and
do
I
have our
appreciate
next
you
meeting
being
coming up,
in that.
and we will definitely make sure that we put that in front of the board so that we can have solutions into helping change the understanding of, a word is very important, right? So we need to make sure that it's working.
You,
Or at the very least, at the end of the document, after they sign, it says, congratulations, you've become a client.
We can look to take something like that too. I'll give you credit though. I'll give you credit. I'll make sure I give you credit in that.
It's interesting. One of the big articles, and with the NAR settlement, it's like the DOJ is sitting in the background, becoming involved in all of this, and California Association of Realtors just had to scrap all of their paperwork because DOJ basically said this is too legal and the average person does not understand what's in there. And I look at what we're doing and it's nowhere near that legal, but it's like, you need to dummy this down so the average person can really understand what it says. You don't need all of this. It was written by attorneys, always is. And
which will bring it to the Miami Board's legal team as well to hopefully dumb it down a little bit more for. Well, I wouldn't use the word dumb it down, but make it more comprehensive where people can understand.
Understandable for the general public.
Yeah,
Make it
I will
understandable
say-
for the average realtor, never mind the public.
Correct.
I will say they do a great job in presenting the latest updates and making sure that everyone is trained and well educated. It's up to the agent to take the initiative to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And the brokerage.
Absolutely.
The brokerage
Yes.
plays a big hand in it. So, that's one of the reasons why we're glad we're here and we've been here. We continue to move in the right direction. We all watch, we all are running a business and we want to stay in line with the values while also helping to provide a service to our clients.
And I also think it's important to learn from each other, because if you're not a forever student, you know, you
So
will
learning from
continue
each other
succeed.
to put you guys on the spot. I know you just taught a branding class in the office, didn't you?
Yes.
Would you teach your buyer broker presentation?
Oh, that was a great one. That was a nice setup there.
I told you I'd put you on the spot.
To answer the question, I would say if you give us a little time to kind of formulate with ourselves. I mean,
You
I
taking
know our
30 minutes an
schedule.
hour? What do you think?
It takes us about an hour. Yeah, I mean, give us some time to work through that, and we'll definitely. Because understand, before we were always known for doing open houses. We taught an open house class here. We did a couple of different open house classes in the Pembroke Pines. So this is also just something else that we'd like to be able to give back to the agents, and we also ask that you implement what is being done. A lot of people, unfortunately, they listen to it and then they never implement it.
Yeah. You attend seminars and
So we wanna
conferences
make
and
sure
so
that
forth,
it's-
and then you go home and do nothing with all the valuable information you just learned.
Unfortunately, that holds true with everything. So, I want to thank you both very much. I appreciate your coming in and sharing today.